Sakamoto Days is in an interesting place right now. I like a lot of what's going on with the narrative, and the action looks amazing still, but maybe it's just me, but it feels like the manga Sakamoto Days might be finished by 2026. It feels like we are 1 foot in, 1 foot out of it being in the final act. And even though it's called Sakamoto Days for a while, Shin has taken the role of main character that we're following. He's already a member of the main cast and main protagonist group, but ever since the jail arc, Sakamoto has been even more of a motivator for Shin, and he's slid to the side, which has been the main direction for Shin. He wants to get stronger and take care of his own battles. He's gotten a lot stronger with his telepathy by a wide margin. Physically, he still can't rival someone like a Slur, Osaragi, or Shishiba, or really anyone that's like physically gifted, but he'd be a big help in a team fight. In the jail arc, he was able to expand on his ability to overwrite minds. In fact, he expanded on it multiple times, even maximizing his own mind to where actions slowed down in front of him, and he was able to outmatch Tenkyu in the jail fight. Fast forward to Slur's New World Order, the citizens were given a gun and 3 bullets. With 3 bullets, you could use them to kill someone with no repercussions from the Japanese government. This was stopped pretty quickly as Shin and the others try to empty the clips and break the guns themselves until they get the idea to use Shin's telepathy on a radio tower with a megaphone to expand his reach and ultimately eliminate the threats of civilians with weapons. Now let's fast forward to the recent fight that happened, Shin versus Slur. Shin was outmatched the entire fight, and it's really about how far she can go at the current state he's in going against the final boss. I love the fight took place in the Sky Tower. For some reason, it just gives off like a sense of urgency. Not sure why, but it did. And the fighter jet hitting the building just reminds me of something out of Ajin. The fight quickly left the tower as Slur attacks Shin with the chain, and Shin ejects himself out the building due to the advantage being a linear area, so he couldn't really fight in there. The drop into an aquarium, and this is where things I guess get controversial soon. Takamura's bloodlust plays a big role in the section of the fight. Takamura's bloodlust plays a big role in this section of the fight. First, we see it against the incoming shark, which it goes without saying this looks fantastic. If you could draw water extremely well, every panel is going to look like an art piece. I like the scene of Shin saving the 2 kids from the slash to hit the tank, and X is on a rampage cutting down whatever is giving off a killing vibe, even if they are people trying to protect them. Heads start flying and falling everywhere. Somehow he gets into the tank, and Shin is running down the walkway tunnel part of the aquarium, and he sees black suits falling onto the glass. This was like a cool sleeping with the fishes metaphor here. Slur breaks through the glass, and I know when it gets animated, this little part here is gonna look really cool. The amount of ore edits is gonna be ridiculous. But it's perceived that Shin is cut across the neck, and even the speech bubble is cut as well. Very similar to the first Malevolent Shrine Sukuna did the Gojo in their fight in the manga. Only thing is, both of these characters survive. Now, one has the innate ability of healing and has insane durability, and he was literally listed as one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time when it comes to him as a sorcerer. So obviously, we knew this slash here was not going to be the end of him, and there was ways to describe how he was able to survive it. Shin, on the other hand, he's a regular telepathic human. He doesn't have anything that's superhuman in terms of durability or like physically where he's able to take these hits or even a slash across the neck. But what makes it worse is the fact that they added the tunnel effect to Sakamoto Days. And in this moment, Atari touches Shin, a phenomenon in which a particle can penetrate a barrier greater than its own energy, even though the odds are infinite. The particles in Shin's body and Slur's katana didn't collide. Is this a cop-out, fake out? Yes, I don't feel a certain way about it for some reason, and that's just because, other than Hio, in terms of the good guy side, not many characters really die. I know Takamura was added to that list, but if you look at the ones that died, they are pretty expendable and don't necessarily affect the story, but they can affect the characters in making them stronger. But I never looked at it as a sense of something similar to like a JJK or a Chainsaw Man, where it feels like anybody can get brutally hurt or physically harmed that will affect them for the rest of the series, or just completely off in that arc or in that fight. However, I do feel like the execution of this was just not good. It felt very lazy because of the fact that Atari in herself, she is a plot device, and the fact that she just pops up and touched them, and then that increased the odds of the tunnel effect being a thing. I just felt like it was kind of lazy for Suzuki to do that. Maybe do it in a way to where it is a deadly attack that Shin is able to telegraph and either survive or dodge, but doing it this way just made it look really stupid. And to me, there's just better ways of trying to get this moment across without doing a complete death fake out, or at least a fatal blow fake out. And now the fact that this has a name, let's just hope that this doesn't become a thing going forward in the future, but this 1v1 turns into a jumping really quick because the rest of the organization catch up to them, and Shin is in a lose-lose situation right now. Of course, Sakamoto makes the first move, unhooking the giant whale prop, which makes Shin back up, and Toro gets a blast directly in his face. Everyone in the mother knew in this instance what Shin had to do and what he was going to attempt by the end of this chapter. When your enemies have the numbers game, you need a way to escape and create an exit route. Telepathy can be a weapon in any given moment, and he does this by commanding all of them to attack X, which triggers Sakamoto to awaken. But before he can even attack, and Shin and Atari are trying to make an escape, a new character that was introduced recently in this arc and is quickly becoming one of my favorites, Gozu, shocks all of them to calm them down, and he gives off like a big brother vibe to this current group. It seems like the #1 guy that can calm down X if he does turn into Takamura and that bloodlust goes crazy. His design is fire. I love the vibe he gives off. He's like laid back, really cool, but he has like this energetic feel to him that's like, it kind of just comes out whenever he's, I guess, getting ready to fight. I can already envision like a rampage moment for him in the story that would be like one of the coolest moments and like badass moments in the series. I don't know who his first 1v1 fight will be. Hopefully we get more than one, cause I think he's that cool and he's kind of growing in popularity too. I can see him fight like a Shishiba or Osaragi, being the one to have a great fight with him. Or what I would like to see is him fighting Kendaka and like a speed versus electricity bout, and that being the way to show us how dangerous he could be. Sakamoto came in to save the day and is pulling the sacrifice move on the team, removing Shin and Atari from the room and taking on the organization by himself. I must say though, I do miss Fat Sakamoto. Fat Sakamoto added that charm, and I don't know how other people feel, but low-key he had more aura when he was fat. I know the skinny version is supposed to be stronger and all that, but I just miss the big back form. He takes all of their attacks and doesn't dodge, even getting a hole put in him. Then they kick him out into the parking garage area where Sakamoto talks to Shin, saying the account he has is not the real account. It's a figment of his imagination, as the real account would have killed him for what he's doing, which is strike one for pissing off Slur. Kuma goes after Shin, but is stopped immediately by Sakamoto. Gozu and Torres go after Shin, but Sakamoto flips the switch on Kumanomi gloves and triggers the crane to slam into the building. I love the little banter back and forth between the new group that they have right now, as they are clearly there for one reason, and one reason being Slur, but could care less about each other in like the end game. He gets in the truck, Gozu shocks it, but he gets ran over, and Tanabata shreds the Jeep with a rift, landing in front of Slur again, who lets him know that this is their final goodbye. Sakamoto lets him know that he killed a cow, the person you claim to love so much, and to quit using his friend to justify more crimes. Strike two. And there's no need for a third one because Slur gets the white pupils and that dark shade rage face. Kind of looks like Ryan too at this point. And he stabs him with the Ryan family killing pathway. And even on the brink of death, Sakamoto is still speaking his truth because Ryan wouldn't have let the moment for her opponent to have last words, calling Slur a fraud. Shin and the gang rescue him and are able to escape the chase by driving the truck into a train going into a tunnel. And remember in the beginning I talked about Shin getting stronger through telepathy. Well, he just did something that boosted himself as probably the best healer in the verse. Use this telepathy to tell Sakamoto's body to pump his own heart, and that's enough to get him to the hospital so he can heal. Obviously they aren't killing the MC in this series. I mean, it is named after him, but MC Shin is in even more effect than it already was. I like the section of chapter 221 with Nagamo, Shishiba, and Osaragi, who wakes up the only way she can, and Shishiba is questioning why Nagamo wants to kill X. And it's clear based on this flashback that Nagamo hesitated because he was too caught up in the account factor with X. I'm interested in seeing Osaragi and Shishiba bounce back too, because that was the first fight that they were a part of where they were outmatched. Gozu is the one to tell X to get his act together and stop moping around because it's going to affect the rest of the group. Gozu has taken that second in command role from Gaku, and he's much more verbal and does something the others are scared to do with X, and that's talk to him like a normal person. Chapter 222 dropped recently, and in the latest chapter, Nagamo goes to Oki, and they have a mellow disagreement per se in conversation. Oki doesn't have general conversations with X, and he's just working with him for the sake of keeping order in the world. Obviously, Nagamo doesn't like that at all, and gives him a warning of the upcoming battle. They get in this car, and well, what do you expect two assassins who don't like each other to do? They start to kill each other. They're fighting while the cars falling down the garage with knives at each other's neck. And I think a great panel is this couple that's sitting across from each other. And basically the guy's like, you know, what's wrong? Like, what's the problem? And she's saying, what are you missing? And she's just like, I'm missing excitement. And that's exactly the great depiction in one panel to describe Nagamo versus Oki. Oki is all about order. He will sacrifice his own values just to keep order in Japan, so nothing is chaotic. Nagamo, on the other hand, couldn't give a shit about order. All he wants is to have fun, make sure there's no pointless deaths happening, and that if it's something that's out of the ordinary he has to do, he'll do it that way. His whole ability and kit is just whatever he decides to copy and whatever he decides to do half the time. It feels like he has endless options to get the job done, whether conventional or unconventional. They crash and sit at the diner, and the chapter ends with them making an order. I'm curious as to where Sakamoto Days goes from here, although I am excited for the upcoming arc and the upcoming battle. This, like I said, it feels like the final arc, but won't really know until we get that confirmation. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Shin can do now. I still don't think he's on that level, so maybe he's gonna have some fight that's gonna really enhance him to where he actually could play a role in the final battle. And I'm not gonna lie, the new X group I might like a little more than the past one. Now I do like Gaku way more than like a lot of the other characters, but looking at the roster they got now, I mean, between Tanabata, Kumanomi's still there, Gozu, Torres, that's a really strong core. So, I mean, for what they could do, they could really show out. This might be one of the better done villain antagonist group for, I would say, the modern age that we got going right now. If you all enjoy, leave a like and subscribe. I'll let you on the next one. Peace.
Yeah.